My name's Chuck Harold. I'm a retired police officer, 13 years in 3 Southern California agencies. After that, I worked for 2 studios for 10 years and did some Academy Award security stuff another 10 years, and now I do a radio show about security every week. I started in the 80s. In the penal code, domestic violence was somebody hits you. Verbal abuse was not really a legal term, and domestic violence calls back then were really at an extreme point. In other words, we got the call after everything really went bad. Most of the time it was people next door, a neighbor, or sometimes children would call. On occasion, it was the victim. I've been beaten. I got kicked out of the house. There's been a serious crime committed, and that's usually when we showed up. A lot of times at first, the abuser would kind of lower their profile. They were nice. What's the matter, officer? I don't know what she's talking about. Nothing happened. You're crazy, that kind of thing. And then the opposite side was the guy that opened the door with he's ready to fight. Frankly, I found those are the best guys, right? Good. Come out of the house and let's get in a fight. I can take you to jail. I've solved my problem, right? This is in California, right? So there wasn't any mandatory requirements that I had to take action as a police officer. So if it was a misdemeanor, your husband, let's say, slapped you and I didn't see him do it, I couldn't arrest the husband unless the wife said, hey, I want him arrested. And that never happened almost. Then it was a felony. I can arrest on probable cause. But again, the women would say, he didn't hit me. Nothing happened. I don't want him to go to jail. And a lot of times we could not take action in a traditional way. It's very difficult to understand the intervention component. So here's the call I got one day. Neighbor calls us and says, I hear this lady next door in this condo complex, and she's saying, don't kill me. She's been saying, don't kill me for 15 minutes. Sounds pretty bad. We go next door, we listen, and sure enough, we hear, don't kill me, don't kill me, don't kill me. So I call for backup. I had a trainee with me at the time, and backup's not coming anytime soon, and now she's saying, don't kill me, we have to go in. So we kick the door in, we go inside, and the boyfriend has the girlfriend hanging out the third-story window with his hands around her neck, and her knees were resting on the window ledge, and she's just about ready to go over the edge. So I grab him, pull her off, we pull her back in the window, and the idea is to be calm. You can't get agitated in a domestic violence situation as a police officer because you're going to be part of the problem. I very calmly say, sir, I need you over here. Ma'am, I need you over here. The gentleman puts his hands up in front of me and says, don't shoot. And I go, I don't have my gun out. I'm not going to shoot you. You just need to calm down. He runs towards me and grabs my gun. Well, you would think, okay, the girlfriend's grateful that we saved her. No, she jumps on my back. Right now, he's got my gun, and I got it in the holster, and she's on my back choking me, and now I got a problem. So when we think, well, that's domestic violence, so obviously I have a right to come in and say something about it. Know this. That's my family. Nobody messes with my family. That's none of your business whether he hits me. I mean, these are things that run through people's heads and themes, right? They want to handle it privately, and I think we would all think that about a lot of other components of our family and lives outside domestic violence. The mere fact that you're present has a tendency to calm a situation down. You can't just sit around as a friend or family member of a domestic violence victim and do nothing. Observe, report, let the police intervene, never place yourself in jeopardy. And in the long run, if your relative, sister, girlfriend, or husband, male too, if they become a victim where they wind up dead, you're not going to feel very good about that, right? Because you didn't do something about it. So at a minimum, pick up the phone, call the cops, and every time you hear or see it, call the cops. The big question people ask of victims is, why don't they leave? Well, because your circle is what you're comfortable in. And going outside the circle makes you uncomfortable. So if a neighbor, friend, or family knows they can go into your circle to be safe, that's very powerful, right? And how I've handled this in my personal life is I come in there with no attitude in it, no ego in it, and I say, listen, I heard the yelling. It happens. I've been there myself. I want you to know you can call me, and we'll fix it. We'll do something about it. And even the victim knowing that small part that somebody cares, it's very, very important. And you may not have an immediate effect, but maybe one of those times that the domestic violence happens, it gives them an option. I find in speaking with domestic violence victims that they don't think they have options. I retired in 96, and now we see over the years a progression of this where as I was leaving, it became mandatory for us to take action. So if we came to a case and you as a female or male, by the way, we had male victims too, right? Even if you didn't want to do something, we were obligated to make an arrest on some cases. And we could not just say, okay, call your lawyer in the morning and get a divorce. We couldn't do that. And what has changed in the law, I think, is this has become kind of a common issue now, and people don't look at it as being embarrassed by it. They look at it as being, hey, it happens, and let's try and help you. And I think that's a good part of the law that's moved it forward that way. A lot of different states and different countries, they don't have as many laws like that. It's come a long ways, but it really still isn't quite far enough.